The distress beacon pierced through subspace like a dying star's last gasp. Ambassador Thilara of the Velixian Collective clutched her translation device with trembling appendages as the transmission repeated itself across all known frequencies. Her homeworld, Velixa Prime, jewel of the Outer Rim, was under siege. The Crithian Dominion had come without warning. Their dreadnoughts materialized from hyperspace folds, weapons already charging. The Velixians were a peaceful species. Philosophers, artists, mathematicians. Their defenses were laughable against the Crithian war machine. Within hours, orbital stations burned like funeral pyres, and the planetary shield flickered under relentless bombardment. Thilara had one chance, one gamble that the Council had forbidden for generations. She sent the distress call to Earth, the humans, the Deathworlders, the species that had emerged from a planet so hostile, so unforgiving, that every other civilization in the Galactic Assembly had voted to quarantine their system, a species that evolved dodging predators with venom that could kill in seconds, surviving diseases that would devastate entire star systems, and somehow thriving in gravity that would crush most sapient beings. The humans terrified the galaxy, but they had one peculiar trait. They honored their treaties with fanatical devotion. 72 hours after the SOS, the Crithian admiral stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching Velixa Prime's cities burn. Victory was inevitable. The Velixians had no allies foolish enough to challenge Crithian might. Then the sensors screamed, "Admiral!" His tactical officer's scales paled to white. Hyperspace ruptures. Multiple contacts emerging, 30, no, 50. By the gods, there are hundreds. The view screen erupted with light. Jump points tore reality itself as ship after ship materialized. Not the elegant, streamlined vessels of civilized races. These were brutal things, all angles and armor plating, bristling with weapons that had no business existing outside a deranged engineer's fever dream. At the center of the formation was a monster. The UNS Indomitable, a dreadnought-class carrier that dwarfed even the Crithian flagship. On its hull, painted in letters 3 stories tall, were words in a dozen languages. "We remember the fallen. We answer the call." The communication channel crackled to life. A human face appeared, female, with skin dark as the void and eyes that held no mercy. "This is Fleet Admiral Keita Okoro of the United Nations. Expeditionary Force, you are hereby ordered to cease all hostile actions against Velixa Prime and withdraw immediately." Her voice was calm, almost bored. "You have 60 seconds to comply." The Crithian admiral's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Human, you face the 7th War Fleet of the Crithian Dominion. We have conquered 43 systems. Your primitive armada does not frighten us." Admiral Okoro smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. 59 seconds. "You dare!" the Crithian began, but his tactical officer interrupted with a panicked shriek. "Sir, their weapons are powering up. Energy readings are—" "That's impossible. No ship can generate that much power without—" The human fleet opened fire. What happened next would be studied in military academies for generations. The humans didn't fight like any known species. They didn't maintain formation or follow predictable tactical doctrine. They fought like their entire species had learned warfare in the cradle of a world that tried to kill them every single day. Fighters launched from carriers in swarms, piloted by beings who had evolved to track fast-moving threats while running. Each pilot pulled maneuvers that would liquefy the organs of any other species. Their reinforced frames absorbing G-forces that defied physics. The human frigates moved with impossible speed, their crews enduring accelerations that should have rendered them unconscious. But humans, cursed or blessed by their death world, possessed a circulatory system designed by evolution's cruelest hand. They had redundancies, fail-safes, backup systems in their very biology. Missiles streaked across the void. Not elegant plasma torpedoes, but crude, brutal kinetic weapons packed with enough explosive force to crack continents. Railguns, banned by 17 different galactic conventions, turned Crithian destroyers into expanding clouds of debris. And through it all, humans boarded. They didn't just shoot from a distance, they wanted to look their enemies in the eye. Boarding pods carried by species with bones dense enough to survive impacts that would shatter other races, smashed through Crithian hulls. Inside, the invaders met creatures who had evolved to throw projectiles with lethal accuracy, who could track targets in 3 dimensions, who possessed endurance that bordered on supernatural. The Crithians fought back with everything they had, but they had never faced a species that came from a world where a simple cut could mean death from infection, where the very air could carry disease, where predators lurked in every shadow. Humans had spent millions of years learning to survive the unsurvivable. The battle lasted 4 hours. When the guns finally fell silent, the Crithian 7th Fleet was gone. Not retreated, gone. 300 warships reduced to wreckage. The surviving crews were already being processed by human medics, because humans, despite their terrifying nature, treated prisoners with a bizarre concept they called human rights. Admiral Okoro's face reappeared on Thilara's screen. The ambassador flinched despite herself. Ambassador, Velixa Prime is secure. We're deploying relief ships and medical teams. Your people are safe now. The human's expression softened. I'm sorry we couldn't arrive sooner. Thilara felt her respiratory spiracles flutter. Why, she whispered. Why did you come? We are nothing to you. You owe us nothing beyond the treaty. Admiral Okoro was quiet for a moment. On Earth we have a saying, never again. We know what it's like to face extinction. We know what it feels like to watch your world burn while the universe stays silent. She leaned forward. The treaty says we'll defend our allies, but we'd have come anyway. Because someone heard your SOS, Ambassador, and where humans come from, you never ignore a cry for help. The human fleet remained in orbit for 3 months helping rebuild. They never asked for payment, never demanded concessions. They simply helped, then prepared to leave. As the human ships powered up their hyperdrives, Thilara stood on the observation deck of her rebuilt station, watching them go. Around her, other ambassadors from a dozen species stood in similar silence. They had all watched the battle recordings. They had all seen what Deathworlders could do when roused. They're terrifying, whispered the Zenth observer beside her. Yes, Thilara agreed, watching the UNS Indomitable shimmer and vanish into the void. But I'm glad they're on our side. Across the galaxy, the message spread at faster than light speed. The humans had answered the call. The Deathworlders had come, and in their wake they left not destruction, but hope. The Crithian Dominion never attacked another human ally again. Some lessons the galaxy learned were best learned only once.